Hey everybody, my name is Brandon Holder. I'm 36 years of age and welcome to Trinidad and Tobago BMX scene.
That we talking about?
My start into BMX was simply as a young teenager waking up on Saturday morning wondering, I wonder what's going on TV this early in the morning, boy. Because you know, it was Saturday. It's like turn on the TV, scrolling through channels, come across ESPN, and it's like X Games. What's this? It's like, what are these men doing on BMX? Like, nah, I want to learn to do that. And from there, it was just like, yeah, the whole search for BMX began for me. My first bike was a 24-inch BMX, which was actually my sister's bike before me. And I learned to bunny hop and all of that on that bike. Then I started meeting up with other riders who I saw doing BMX on the streets and, you know, got to know them. And from there, got to learn a few more things about tricks until I got my first proper BMX at the age of 17.
Yeah.
My first trick was probably bunny hop. Could say. If anything, after that would be like steamroller. Because the whole Trinidad scene was more or less like Flatland into somewhat street. So yeah, that's how it started. One of the first riders that I came across that like made me realize that the whole fellas here doing this already was a friend of mine now named Kenny Lewis. Yeah, he was basically one of the guys that started it up for me because he used to deliver papers in my area on a morning, and I used to see him hopping pavements going back home from his paper delivery every day when I would be walking to school. And I was like, how the hell he doing that? And I just had to learn. And then eventually I got to meet up with all of them and we all started riding together and I started learning tricks from them and his brother and all of that. Yeah.
Watching.
Life behind the corner.
So the BMX scene for us was mostly Flatland Street because that's what available to us most of the time. We would ride from spot to spot, do some tricks wherever it had stuff to do tricks on. Session a few spaces that we knew. St. James Amphitheatre was a regular spot. Promenade and Tongue. Even Stclair Park, which is where we're heading now. Wildflower. We used to call it the Mang. Because I don't know why, it's not like it really is like a mangrove, but for some reason we just used to call it the Mang, you know. Teenagers just idle. That's how it used to go. So what they have there is a big dirt mount that we use as a ramp, which was kind of like our first ramp to really start off with, other than, well, actually, yeah, we used to build little wood ramps and we had a few wood ramps that we built ourselves. But that was like the biggest ramp that we had available to us. Like a natural dirt setting. Nobody didn't build it, we just rode it as it was. And from us riding it is where the nickname the Mang came from. So everybody that rides BMX knows where the Mang is and the purpose to ride there. So yeah, you know, Trinidad, yeah, we may be a small island, but we have a lot of districts. You know, we have boroughs and cities. And we have a lot of riders from different areas. So my area is like Port of Spain. And we have riders from Diego Martin, riders from San Juan, Chaguanas, Freeport, Maloney, Arima. It's like a lot of places around the country. There was one point in time we actually had clubs in different areas. So, like our club from Port of Spain was Crank Setters, Diego Martin group was RADK riders of a different kind. We had Swiss Wax from Chaguanas. We had Germs from San Juan to Kirep. It was nice having, you know, the different groups and being able to meet up, and that's how we used to enjoy being able to do competitions with each other and all that kind of stuff. Flatland Street was always kind of intertwined for us as riders. So it wasn't so much of a transition from Flatlander Street because both of them was kind of always happening like at the same time together. What really had the transition was the whole ramps. When we started getting into ramp riding, that was the transition, because building ramps, trying to get a space to ride ramps, and then the whole focus switch away from the whole little flatland scene. I mean, we would do street every now and then, but everything then became more or less street and park. You know, street and flat to park style and more street was when we started forming our clubs and all of that. And we had a club in the beginning called, we actually started off with Xtreme Asylum now, so this name.
Yes, so we are supposed to be performing in the next time there, about half an hour or so. But I ain't seen nobody start arrive yet. Whenever people come, we must stop down there.
They're looking like a good TV6 way.
That's when we built our first set of ramps. We had logos for the club painted on the ramps. We used to ride in the savannah. We actually had permission within being able to store ramps in what they call the paddock in the savannah. And we used to store them there every day. We'd come out, take them out, ride them, then pack them back inside the paddock. And, you know, we had a space, you know, it was good. Things were good at that time. And then came the politics and all that went away. We no longer had permission to keep ramps there. So we were on the search for a new space. We used to ride UV a lot. So UV students used to have this, like, more or less a free day on Thursdays. And we would go and meet up with UV skateboarders and whoever might be riding BMX in UV. And we would session up there from time to time. Yeah, we had up and downs with Xtreme Asylum, BMX group. Then we started up the new group, which was Cranksetters BMX. And from there, we had some other people that wanted to help us build the BMX scene and all of that. And they started up Caribbean Freestyle Association.
Okay, we're here with Trevlon Hall. Trevlon Hall says he's where you say you're from?
Caribbean Freestyle Association. I'm president of the Caribbean Freestyle.
Alright, so Trevlon, tell me about the sport.
Alright, BMX is one of the extreme sports currently available in Trinidad and Tobago, also with skateboarding, surfing, but the main ones that the Caribbean Freestyle Association focuses on right now are mainly BMX, but we're trying to incorporate skateboarding, surfing and all of that extreme.
From there, with Caribbean Freestyle Association, is where we started building all the other BMX groups, which were like the X and Germs and our K. At that point, things felt like, this riding scene was kicking off. It was growing, it was getting bigger. We were doing contests and stuff.
How you feeling?
Normal, it's a normal thing.
The whole thing, next
Normal
vibes.
thing. Let's mash it up all the time.
Alright, blessings, man.
We were becoming more known. We would do like Carshow Performances. We performed for Chogam here at one point in time. So, all these different things started happening. And the BMX scene was like really growing, and it was, that excitement was building for everybody. One of the other guys that also did a lot of work for BMX in Trinidad was Trevlon Hall. He's the one that did Monster exams and all these things. He started off with Red Bull under my wings and then into Monster exams.
This year we had some of the world's best BMX freestyle athletes on tour with us. Pat Casey, David Peraza, Nikolai Rogatkin, Adam Kuhn and Jesse Puente.
He brought a few professional BMX riders here, and we had chances to get to meet pros, ride with pros.
Represent the whole world, man. Respect you, bro. Respect. This is Terry Adams. Shout out to Road K Riders.
Road King BMX gang. Let's see what up there. Yo, shout out to the Trinidad Riders, Road King. Shout out to the Trinidad Riders, Road King.
Having the pro riders here was awesome. Meeting riders like Daniel Diaz, David Peraza, Jonathan Camacho, Adam Kuhn, Terry Adams. Yeah, we had a few of them here. It was fun. It was a good learning experience. Even Ben Snowden was here with Daniel Diaz. Yeah, he even street rided us through town, and that kind of opened our eyes to the possibility of BMX Street as well. And a lot of riders grew because of it. Most of those foreign pro riders coming in really did make a big difference because a lot of the guys looked up to a lot of these riders, and seeing them do things in person that you would only see on YouTube was, that was like awe-inspiring. So guys started pushing harder, guys started trying bigger tricks. And when Trevlon did the first Monster exams, and he bought BMX riders for demonstrations and things to go around to schools and advertise the whole BMX scene, we competed in those events. It was just us. until the last month's exams he had, where he had pro riders come in to compete. At that point, I competed in amateur. For that competition, among the local riders, I probably had the most ramp experience at the point in time. And I actually placed third, which was good. I wasn't expecting it, but yeah, it worked out. Train hard, build ramps, had ramps there, practicing. Then a little lot that I got to use through permission of the owners. Other than that, even then, we were trying to get spaces for ramps and it was hard to get a space to train constantly. And that I kind of crushed the scene for a while. And that's more or less where everybody started falling off for the BMX scene, because it started dwindling because people who really wanted to push the ride was getting fight. It was like you're getting fight from all angles. So it felt difficult. Every time you get a space to put ramps on, it was difficult to ride because somebody didn't want you there. So that's where everything started kind of getting difficult for everybody.
International competition that took place at the GPA complex. He hails all the way from Belmont.
When I started BMX, I think my goal was always to get into ramp riding and stuff, because when I saw it the first time, which was in X Games, it was ramp riding, it was park riding that I saw. And that is what totally intrigued me about the whole BMX scene. So I guess at some point in time, it was inevitable that I was going to push into ramps. You know. Longest trick that I took to learn was hop whips. Hop whips, yeah, that actually took me some years because of on and off trying it. I tried and then I stopped and then I tried it, and yeah, until it's like at a point I was ready to kind of give up on the trick. And then watching some videos on YouTube, because they drop some how-tos, and taking it, and I realized like, oh gosh, that's what I was doing wrong all the time. And that one time when I figured out what I was doing wrong and I decided to fix it, I was actually able to pull the trick in one shot. I was real shocked at that point, because it's like, damn, I was doing the wrong thing all the time. Yeah, I taught other guys to do tricks as well. And even with that hop whip, I taught other people how to do that same hop whip, which, truly realizing what I was doing wrong, and I was able to show them, and then they realized like, wow, it was that easy. Well, not that hop whip's that easy, but it's just that it was a simple change in your movement.
Answer back.
But yeah, these guys, they are kind of like the older group of riders, so they ride like time to time, unlike the new riders that would ride more often. So they don't be out here as much. We had some riders come here like randomly, not to deal with any competition or anything like that.
Yeah, we've been heading up to Marcus Bay there. We have Miguel again, don't know.
Yeah.
How you liking the vibes now?
It's really nice, you know. Really happy to come home and see everybody. It's been a good time, and I mean, I'm leaving Friday, but it still seems so far because it's so much fun, you know. I want to thank Brad for having everybody come out and have a good time. Everybody did have a good time at the jam, and I'm willing to come back next year and we're gonna have fun again.
And he started riding with us, and yeah, he was real cool. So sessioning with him, I think at that point in time was real vibes. We had Tyrone Williams come through, AMPM, Mike Hodder. These guys were all here together. They rode a lot of different places around Trinidad. They did some videos, which one of our riders were featured in, Jared, as one of the Dago boys from Rica. Yeah, and he was real excited when that video came out because he was like, Jared, it's like, well, international. You know, he was real happy. You know, everybody was real glad for him, you know, getting that piece of forward and for people getting to see Trinidad for BMX. That was fun. That was vibes. In the future for Trinidad and BMX, I'm not sure. It depends on who takes up the mantle, because a lot of people falling off for the riding scene, and we do have much people into organizing stuff when it comes to BMX. So I wouldn't say that the BMX scene is dead, because we still have BMX riders out here. We still have fellas who want to learn BMX. It's constantly growing. It's still, as much as you might see people fall off, it always have new people coming on. So it keeps things going. What I think everybody looking for is that permanent place that BMXers could call their own, that we could come out and ride and train and just have fun. Whether you want to compete, whether you want to just have the camaraderie, just to have fun with your friends, you know, to do something positive, just to be occupied with something that makes sense doing, that not going against laws and stuff. You know, yeah. Anything that keeps the mind positive, I guess. I could say it that way. We have riders here that just ride for fun. Probably majority of them ride for fun. We have a few that wanted to be in that professional status of a BMX rider, but I don't wanna stick it to circumstances. But sometimes it kind of is circumstances, the things that, you know, you have available to you, because some of them can't do or build stuff that they need to practice and train how they want to train. They don't have they just can't acquire those resources. And then the guys that probably have the ability to do it, not really into it to that level. So yeah, we have riders that want to do it professionally. We have riders that do it for fun. For me, at a point in time in the earlys, yes, I did want to reach somewhere with it, so that's kind of why I used to push a lot. And now I more or less do it for fun. This is just for exercise and for fun for me. I enjoy meeting up with the fellas, riding, keeping myself fit, you know, doing what I enjoy. You know, is a sense of freedom, a sense of, you know, that relaxation, getting away from everything else. When you're riding BMX, you just focus on that, nothing else. had a few injuries riding BMX. Thankfully, nothing broken, just anything damaged was like dislocated or impact, I guess. I dislocated bones in my foot once, doing a 180 over a park bench. I land sideways, pedal hit the side of my foot. All I do is pop, 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 and it's like, oh, pull off shoes. Check, it's like, oh, my toes can move. I good, my toes can move. Jump on the bike, try to ride off, and then instantly my foot was just like swollen. Couldn't even put it back in the shoe. I had to go home on pedaling on one foot, somebody pulling my bike, towing me up the road. It's like very crazy. Yeah. Reach over and parents like, what happened to you? Oh, like, oh gosh. Yeah. So I think the other big injury I had was preparing for the month's exams competition because I was learning how to flare and practicing the flare. I bail out from the bike upside down, and I really have no idea how I end up on top of the bike, but I end up on top of my back peg on my back. And I end up having to stay home from work for like 2 days with muscle pain, taking muscle relaxants, and still studying that competition coming up, and I want to be ready for that competition. I still did manage to compete, and that's when I placed third. So yeah, injuries. I had a few, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't too bad to say that I had to be down for like a really long period of time. I think I never went through it so bad. For other riders, yeah, we had guys break their ankle. I probably know about 2 guys that broke their ankle. Another BMX rider, Johnny, he broke his arm at a point in time, I believe. Turian, another road K rider, he crashed into a fence and knocked out his front teeth. Yeah, that was a brutal injury. I remember that day there was a lot of blood. Pain. I had somebody call me because I wasn't riding with them that day. And they called me like, Brandon, you can come and pick up Turian bike thing. And then he just crashed the ambulance, just take him up, and it's like, what? It's like, all right, I come in. To jump in the car, drive down to town, come to pick up his bike and see the whole spot with blood on the ground and all this kind of, it's like, wow, like what happened? And then one of the guys had the video, and I saw the video and I was like, wow, boy, that was a hell of a crash. It's a graphic, it's a bit of a graphic video. One of the guys did have it. I think Brad had it recorded. So I don't know if it's actually available online still or not, but yeah, that was epic. That was an epic moment. So yeah, some of the other riders actually did sustain some injuries where BMX is concerned. Yeah. We had 3 Flatlanders from Trinidad, went to compete in Costa Rica FISE competition. Those riders were Bradley, Kestrel Roopnarine, and Keegan Alves. I think Kestrel placed 7th, Brad placed 8th, and I think Keegan placed like 3rd. They did pretty well, I think. They all did. Keegan managed to place 3rd in amateur, and he was able to compete in the pro competition after.
I've improved a lot, since from Costa Rica. My level of riding has improved a lot from there, and people could actually see it now. Well, I want to continue progressing and pushing myself forward and inspiring other riders to do the same too as well, and continue competing and just building the sport better and bigger,
BMX Flatlander pioneer Trevlon Hall was a judge at the Omaskino Championship.
The Omaskino contest in Vigo, Spain is almost on the same level. It's like the largest, apart from the FISE contest in France. So it's a big international contest. We had competitors from Germany, people from France, people from all different parts of Europe. And the only person from the Caribbean was Keegan Alves, and he did pretty well. So I must say it was a large event. We had crowds of over 10,000 people there, and we had people representing from over 20 different countries in Spain.
And he actually didn't do too bad in the pro competition either. At the end of the day, they all did well. Being first time on an international competition, you know, that was real good. Everybody was real happy when they came back. As you know, they went out and they represent and they put Trinidad name out there. I believe Trevlon Hall was the first rider out of Trinidad actually to go and put Trinidad name in a flatland competition. And he actually podiumed as well. He is a rider that was actually riding before me. I came into the scene after him. So, and yeah, that was real good, you know, representing for Trinidad and doing as well as they did. Yeah, for the first time. That was real awesome. Real kudos to those guys. As BMX groups, we did performances over in our sister isle, Tobago, for car shows.
This is the BMX stuntman.
You know, we did a lot of those kind of stuff performing for events. We did a video ride over in Tobago with RADK. And that was a whole weekend of us staying in a house together, going around, taking videos in different places in Tobago. That was fun. Tobago is like our tourism spot. It's like our most known tourism spot because you come to Trinidad, you can't come to Trinidad without visiting Tobago. You know, it's like real nice white sandy beaches. It's like beautiful water, coral reefs. It's like, yeah, the Caribbean works when you head down to Tobago side. So yeah, riding in Tobago, meeting like Tobago police officers on bikes and stuff, it was real fun. They always asking, you know, like, all you can teach us to do things like this. You know, to ride, doing stuff like that. It's like, yo, if we teach all you how to do this, nobody getting away from all you ever in life again. Catching everybody. Once you know how to ride like a BMX rider. Yeah. You know, it was the experiences of doing all that stuff was real good. Being in the Caribbean, riding around, at some point in time you're gonna ride to the beach. We used to ride to the beach at a point in time like almost every weekend. Every Sunday that was a normal thing. Like ride session, go do tricks somewhere, head down to the beach, bathe in the beach, dive off the jetties, do flips, ride back home, do more tricks and we stop somewhere else again before everybody scatter and go home again. You know, that was excitement. That was the excitement for us. That was the fun times. We don't really ride to the beach as much as we used to. Well, we don't ride to the beach anymore. We drive to the beach now. We all drive to the beach, more or less. You know, I think because most of the older guys that ride still have transport, most of the guys who don't have transport will most likely link up with the guys that have transport and we all go to different locations and you know. So that was kind of a change in over the years. Whereas in the early all of us on our bikes, the only mode of transport we had to get from point A to point B was our bikes. But now, you know, everybody, most of the other guys have their own vehicles and stuff. So the younger riders never really experience that ride from point A to point beach. That kind of thing. Yeah, that was something that we enjoyed. Sadly, I don't think they get to enjoy it as much as we did. At this point in time, the longest rider riding today, I would say, is Dappa. Dappa had to be one of the longest going riders I know so far. Because out of everybody else who rides that probably would come out once in a while, Dappa would probably be the most consistent. In his area, he'd really have nothing for ramps. It's just Flatland. He's a Flatland rider and he always has been a Flatland rider. And yeah, he really, you know, kept pushing it, keeping his tricks and being able to do his tricks still after all that time, you know. It's like, yeah, that's inspiration to keep you going too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, shout out to Dappa for being like one of the legends. We have some newer generation of riders that coming out still. And met a few of them in the recent ride, you know. We have one who doing like multiple full cabs back to back. Yeah, that was the first time I saw him ride. I probably saw videos with him on Instagram and from, you know, the other groups and all who add each other on Instagram as BMX riders. And seeing him ride that day, I was like, yeah, boy, you know it, the BMX scene is still alive. It's still alive for you. Because these guys, they really pushing it still. They're trying hard to learn new tricks and up their game. And yeah, you know, it have hope for the future of BMX in Trinidad still.
Yeah.
Sponsorship-wise, we don't really have much of a sponsorship scene in Trinidad. We had one guy who tried to do it, and that was Outer RR, Outer Reef and Rhythms. He's a guy that was a guy that actually started up a BMX store in Trinidad. He actually started a skateboard store. So it was a skateboard and surf store, and he began including BMX. And yeah, he did try to do the whole sponsor a rider, skateboarder thing, and you know, get the advertisement to the store out and try to do little competitions and stuff. That he did a few things well for BMX and skateboard for a period of time. But I guess things didn't work out too well business-wise for him, and he eventually had to, you know, leave that out and whatnot. So sponsorship was never really much of a big thing for us. Funny thing is, for some reason, a lot of BMXers thought I was sponsored. I didn't even know that they thought I was sponsored, but no, I was never sponsored. Like, this is probably the closest I ever get to a sponsorship, you know, of apparel. Yeah, because they gave me a few gear and stuff, hats, t-shirts, you know, that kind of thing. So I try to push the brand on my Instagram and Facebook and stuff, you know. I'm really grateful for, you know, for that, for being able to do that kind of thing. So that would probably be the closest to sponsorship I ever come. No, to say who other riders look up to would be kind of difficult, because they would be looking at the more present BMX riders that I would not be that familiar with, you know. It's like, for me, the riders that I'm familiar with, yeah, Tyrone Williams and the show who was here, I knew about them from before. Guys like Matt Hoffman and Kevin Robinson, Dave Mira, Aaron Ross, Ruben Alcantara. Ruben Alcantara was one of the riders I looked up to a lot. Yeah, I love the whole wall riding scene and all of that kind of vibes. That he was one of my favorite riders. Probably the reason why I have a fly bike still, even though it's not his frame. But you know, he used to ride for fly bikes. That was a big scene. Yeah, well, that's about it. Me, I can't really speak for much of the other riders, because I don't really know the names of all the new riders that they follow. So yeah. My advice to the newer riders coming up is keep pushing it. Keep trying to grow as a rider. If you could make ramp something available to yourself, however you could, try to do it, because even if you're willing to, I'm willing to help and all, if men want help to build ramps and all that kind of thing, I'm willing to do that, because I always used to say I would be happy to just help make way for another rider, if it's possible. So continue pushing, trying to make way. I will help in any way that I could. Yeah. Keep it going forward. Hey! Spots that we ride, we have Independence Square, around by the Twin Towers. We have the stage on Independence Square as well. We have Hyatt Waterfront. We usually also session around by the Parkade. All these are in close vicinity to each other. One of these spots we also ride, which is actually a skateboard spot, because it's more or less a skateboard group that build that. And, you know, few riders might help them from time to time. And sometimes we might go on session down there. They built up a lot of ramps, something in a space that they just call it the warehouse, because it was an old abandoned factory. And the owners, I guess, gave them permission to use the space, and so yeah, have a nice little ramp scene down there. Skateboard ramps and then concrete ramps. Nothing like real massive, just, you know, a small scene. We ride also sometimes in Price Plaza, Shogunas, that's central. We used to ride UE, but yeah, UE you will face security for sure. For sure, you'll face some security. Yeah, so that's some of these places I would say, yeah, that we hit a lot. I would like to shout out the whole ROADK that's still going. You know, Strong and Digo, Central Riders, Kestrel, Dappa, the East Side fellas, you know, Ozai, all those guys up there. Hub Apparel for one. Yeah. Could probably give a shout out to Keegan, who wasn't around. I guess he was too busy working to come out for anything. So, you know, we kinda miss him on this run. Trevlon Hall for I guess a lot of the stuff that he did for BMX over the years. He did experience some issues with the whole BMX scene as well too, but hopefully things will be back up strong again. So saving the best for last, you know. Life behind grips, my boy Warren G. Yeah, we grew up riding BMX together here before he migrated out of the country. We used to basically compete in almost every trick. From the beginning, it was always competition for competition. Who could pull the trick first kind of thing. Yeah, so you know, we and the group of riders that I started with were all friends from early. So, you know, it's like Chris, Joel, Jerome, Kenny, Colin, the list goes on, Brad. There's a lot of names, a lot of riders to call. You know, like John, RIP, 16, RIP.
Yeah. Competition.
Surf.
Competition mean come where?
Yeah.
Joseph, Ronald, aka Sauti, Junior Ghost, aka Ghost. Yeah, a lot of riders that push on the scene with us. Some of them still come out from time to time. Yeah. So yeah, I'd like to say thanks to Life Behind Grips for coming out and featuring Trinidad. You know, I know it's something he always wanted to do for a long time. So he finally get a chance to come through. It had a lot of setbacks and stuff that, you know, kept people from moving around for the past 2 years. So yeah, you know, it's a great opportunity to get to put the scene out there to everybody else and let people see what Trinidad riders is capable of. Yeah.
introduction to all its team, right? So I am introducing, how should I say, Xtreme Asylum. Xtreme Asylum doing a thing in Tobago 2005.
Yes, guys, all you put on the kit and everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, practice it.
So, no, how many minutes privacy? Who you sick man here? Who you sick man here?
I you take family ramp.
Alright, okay,
nah.
I'm a biker, 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 I'm a biker.
You started.
Yeah, this is slow. You don't know. Say something slow. Whoa, yo, yeah. This is Malibu. What we gonna do? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. They can G man. Yeah, man.
Can you up?
Hey, G. Yeah, man.
Hola. Can you up?
This is Mr. Prekpost. He know himself. He's a big one. Good in the business. Yeah. And then my boy Chickadee, you know. Where's the at now, man? Let me see your face now. They look like.
They look like.
Yeah, not forgetting Mr. White Boy. Any color you could eat anything black, but you in white. That's the guy. You know me, man, the biggest man. I mean, it's on the chest, man. Mr. White, you know. And now we going and see a loose stunt, man.
Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Brandon Holder. I'm 36 years of age and welcome to Africa, which, well, most of us in the beginning learned to grind through Colin, another guy we met riding BMX.
That's what people. Thank you.
And I think he placed somewhere around 5th.
Out of that.
Now we talking about? Yeah! Let's see a hit for us, Billy. Just come and look at it. Come and look for it, Billy. Come and look for it.
All the way from Trinidad?
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah.
Come and find them. Somewhere in Trinidad.
Alright, so this from Billy. Alright, let's keep doing your thing. And you know, don't know. Hold on there, right from Billy there.
The only time we sing this is on YouTube. It's theater.
Yeah.
We can run safe out here.